Our opening song for our mission is number 740, "Oh How Blessed." Oh, how blessed are the poor in spirit, the kingdom of God is theirs. Oh, how blessed those who dwell in sorrow, they surely will be consoled. Rejoice and be glad, beloved of the Lord, the kingdom of heaven is yours. The first shall be last, the last shall be first, for such is the wisdom of God. Oh, how blessed are the meek and lowly, for they shall possess the earth. Oh, how blessed those who thirst for justice, they surely will have their fill. Rejoice and be glad, beloved of the Lord, the kingdom of heaven is yours. The first shall be last, the last shall be first, for such is the wisdom of God. Oh, how blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall behold God's face. Oh, how blessed those who mend with mercy, forgiveness is their reward. Rejoice and be glad, beloved of the Lord, the kingdom of heaven is yours. The first shall be last, the last shall be first, for such is the wisdom of God.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Father.
So we welcome all of you this evening and those who are here with us this evening for the very first time. And we gather to celebrate the second night of our mission, but also to begin our day of mercy right after my mission talk. We'll have the exposition and benediction, and then we will be offering the wonderful opportunity to celebrate the beautiful sacrament of reconciliation. But as we always do, we place ourselves in the presence of one another and in the presence of our loving God, and we sign ourselves once again in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. I'm just going to proclaim the gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. And he said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the land. And blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. And blessed are the merciful, they will be shown mercy. And blessed are the clean of heart, for they will see God. And blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. And blessed are they who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are you when they insult you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely because of me. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward will be great in heaven." The gospel of the Lord. All right, now you can be seated and relax. I'm sure some of you have seen this particular Redemptorist habit that I'm wearing, and with the rosary and the beads. How many people have never seen this before? Okay. But in case you don't know the meaning of it, we have a particular devotion, spread devotion to our Mother of Perpetual Help. And for that reason, part of the religious habit that we wear has the full 15-decade rosary. And when you look at it, it's upside down. But when I look at it, it's in the shape of an M for Mary. And at the end of the rosary, there's a little medal with the image of the man who founded us, St. Alphonsus. And the other side is the image of Jesus the Redeemer. Interesting little thing about the rosary. Every new group that was coming into this organization, every new class, there was one guy who was appointed to make the rosaries for the class coming in the next year. Guess who was the rosary maker in my class? So when I was making their rosaries, I decided that the rosary that I got when I entered wasn't made good enough, so believe it or not, I put this one together myself. And this has been literally hanging around for over 50 years, right? You'll notice that whenever we preach the mission, the preacher wears the mission cross. It's a very special cross. At the foot of the cross, we have the image of Mary, because that's where Mary was. And then at the very bottom, there's a little skull and crossbones. And sometimes I've said to the kids, well, what does that mean? And they think it's poison or pirates. But we know that Jesus, when he died on Golgotha, which really is called the place of the skull. So Jesus, by his dying and being resurrected, he saved us, he redeemed us, he shed his blood for us. So the preacher wears the cross during the main talk as a reminder to him and a reminder to you that what you're going to hear is human words, but somewhere in there is God's word. All right? That's just a little explanation of what it is I wear. Here's a little story. Even though I'm not married, of course, you realize that I know a little bit about marriage, and what I've understood is that sometimes in a marriage, a wife will write down a little list of things for her husband to do. You call that a honey-do list. Honey, would you do this? So this lady said to her husband, she said, the toilet upstairs is broken. It needs to be fixed. And the husband said, do you see plumber written on here anywhere? Do you? No. Plumber? No. Toilet wasn't fixed. 3 months later, she said, look, the lights in the hall need to be replaced. It needs new bulbs. He said, electrician. Do you see electrician written here anywhere? Nope. Another few months went by. The toilet was still broken. The lights were out. She said, honey, the door in the back needs to be put back on its hinge. It's broken. He said, carpenter. Do you see carpenter written here anywhere? 8 or 9 months went by. The toilet wasn't fixed. Lights were still out. The door was off the hinge. Then one day he comes back from work. Everything's fixed. Toilet's working. Lights are burning bright. Door is back on. He said, how did this happen? And his wife said, well, after you left for work today, nice young man was coming around the neighborhood selling subscriptions to magazines. And I asked him if he was a bit of a handyman, and if he could fix the toilet, put new bulbs in, put the door back on. She said, I told him I could do one of two things for him. I could bake him a nice cake, or I could give him a nice, long, slow, passionate kiss. And the husband said, what did you do? She said, do you see Betty Crocker written on here anywhere? Hey, I know. What makes that even funnier is that you all remember who Betty Crocker was, too. All right. So what I'd like to do in the short time that I have here this evening, I would like to talk to you a little bit about some of these beautiful sayings of Jesus that we refer to commonly as the Beatitudes. Now, depending upon the translation of the Bible that you have at home, I mean, most people have a Bible in the home somewhere. Maybe it's a nice big white Bible. It's on the coffee table, right? But what happens is a lot of people stuff important papers and documents in the Bible because no thief would ever think of looking there. And so we walk past the Bible thousands of times in a day, but how often do we stop and read it? But if you read this particular little passage from Matthew's Gospel, depending upon the English translation, this is the New American Bible, the Revised Edition, okay, the St. Joseph edition. But there's different versions of it. Every one of those sayings begins with the word blessed, and some translations have it happy. So Jesus would say, blessed are the poor in spirit, or some translations say, happy are the poor in spirit. But blessed and happy mean the same thing. However, if you were to read this particular passage in the language of Jesus, Aramaic, that was his native tongue, Aramaic, it wouldn't be translated blessed or happy. It would sound like this. He went up that little mountain and he said to the people, "Oh, you lucky person who are poor in spirit, who are gentle." See? That there's more life to, "Oh, you lucky person." We just translate it blessed, happy. But let's use the word happy. I think it's a great word, happy. The world today does not experience the Christian, the follower of Jesus, as being a very happy person. I have no idea where people get that idea that the Christian is not a happy person. Yeah, every week, I would travel around to different parishes, stand up in front of large groups of people, like I am now, and you people are very different. But all of these other people, I stand up every week and I look at these people, this is before masks, and these are people sitting in this seat saying, "I know that Jesus is the source of my joy and happiness." And yet when I look at their faces, now you're different, 98% of those people sitting in the pew, to me, look like they're in absolute agony. You're different. Yeah. And sometimes I could be standing at the front door of the church before Mass, welcoming people coming in. And you put your hand out, you say, "Good morning, how are you?" And then, "Get out of my way, Father, I'm in a hurry. I got to get in there and pray." You're almost run over by people. And remember before COVID when we would do the handshake of peace, a sign of peace? I would say this, let's turn and offer each other a sign of peace. I would see people do this all the time. Here. Come on, shake it quick and get it over with. And these are people who are married to one another too. Yeah. They don't give each other a hug or a kiss. Come on, shake it quick, get it over with. So the world looks at us, the followers of Jesus, and says, "Oh, look at those people. They're not happy." And, I have been criticized in my life for many things. And if it's an honest criticism, I think I'm mature enough to take the criticism. But there's times when I just shake my head. Over the years, many people have said to me, "Father, I was very upset with you." I said, "Why?" "Well, because they're in church. You made people laugh." I said, "Yes, I did." "Well, don't you realize, Father, that religion is serious? There's no room in religion, for joy or laughter. Religion is serious." And I listen to that and I say, "Really? Then why did Jesus say, 'I have told you this'? Why? So that my joy may be in you and your joy may be complete." The word that's not there is sorrow or sadness. He mentions joy, so that my joy may be in you. And that's a problem. There are many people who do not see in the religious person any joy whatsoever. And I see these people, these people. They're walking around and they see sin behind every pillar and every post. And these are people who, they're always negative and critical and tearing down. And these are the same people who can come to church every Sunday, kneel in the pew, look holy and pious. They could be so close to the altar, they could be chewing the toenails off some of the statues. They're that close. But yet, as soon as Mass is over, you meet those same people, and they're the angriest people you'd ever want to meet. Negative, critical, tearing down, haven't got a good word to say about anything or anyone. But in the church, they look so holy and pious. If you want to have a good time at a party, do not invite one of them. These are people who deal in death. They tear everything down. They don't build up, they tear everything down. And these are people who think that being a Christian is just simply showing up to a church building and attending a Mass. No. Simply showing up in a church building no more makes someone a Christian than if you stand in your garage, that will make you a car. No, there's a lot more involved than just showing up. And that's what I want to talk to you about tonight. I don't have time to talk about all 8 of these beautiful sayings. So I'm just going to pick 2 or 3. And when I'm going to try to give you my explanation as to how I think these Beatitudes, should be interpreted. So let's see, the first one. Jesus, on that little hillside, he gathered the people around and he said, "Happy and blessed are you who are meek and gentle." Meek and gentle. Whoa. So now we live in a world, as you all know, we're surrounded by violence. It's every time you wake up, every day, you turn on the TV, watch the news, there's a war going on somewhere in the world. And I don't think we can ever say, today, all over the world is at peace. There's not a war raging anywhere. No. As soon as one war ends, another one starts. We live in a violent world. And there's violence between countries, violence between races, violence between religions, violence in people's homes, and as you certainly know, there is violence in our churches. And the value in this world, you see, in John's gospel, he puts it really nice. He said, look, the world is good, but sometimes the values in our world are not good. And these values belong to the kingdom of darkness. The values of Jesus, based on these sayings, belong to the kingdom of light. So John says every day you have to choose which set of values is going to govern your life. So here we are in this world, but from the time that we're very small, we're taught these values. Hey, stand on your own 2 feet. Watch your back. Protect yourself at all times. Read the fine print. No one's going to give you anything free. If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Question everything. Do unto others before they get a chance to do it unto you. If someone hurts you, you hurt them back. If someone curses you, you curse them back. That's how you get through life. Doesn't matter how many people you have to walk over, stab in the back, use or abuse, as long as you get to where you want to go. You first, everybody else second. So on that little hillside, Jesus said, look, that could make you happy. He said, I know that. That could make you happy. But I say, you really want to be happy? Happy you will be if you try to live your life as a gentle man, as a gentle woman. The only real antidote to violence is not violence. It's gentleness and meekness. Now, that sounds really strange, isn't it? We listen to that and we say, oh, no, Jesus, that's not going to work. You said those things over 2,000 years ago. It didn't work then. It's not working now. Do you not realize the world that I have to live in today, 2021, it's so violent, there's no room for a gentle person. You'll be run over, shoved off to the side. No, Jesus, those things don't work. And Jesus says, well, you can believe that, but the circle of violence will continue. It'll go on and on and on between countries and races and peoples and religions in your homes and in your churches. It won't end unless you try to live like this person, gentle and meek. It's not easy. Over the years, I've preached many missions, and there are some illustrations that I've used, and I will use this one tonight because it's a personal one. It's very personal. It comes from my family. We left Ireland back in 1954. There was no work. A lot of the Irish were leaving and coming to the States or Australia, all over the world. So my family decided in 54, there's no future there, so we have to leave. So we came to Illinois for, I think, about 6 months, and then, I don't know why, instead of going south, they went north. They went to Canada. They could have gone to Florida or California, but no, they went north. But anyway, so they went to the big city of Toronto. We lived in a basement apartment for 5 years. Very nice. Jewish family owned the home. And after 5 years, my mother said to my father, she said, I'm sick and tired of living in a basement. It's time that we bought a house. You see, isn't that the goal and the dream of every new immigrant family? You come to a new country. One day, you'll have your own land, your own property. And you see, for the Irish, it's very important to have your own land and property because it was taken from them. So, very important. So, my mother and father, off they went to look for a house. They looked here, they looked there. Finally, one day, my mother saw this house. She said to my dad, that's the house I want right there. We need to buy that one. Now, my mother was not interested in insignificant details like mortgage payments. She didn't deal with that at all. But in the backyard were all of these beautiful flowers. The roses were in bloom along the fence in the backyard. My mother fell in love with the backyard and the flowers. She said, let's make an offer on the house. They made an offer. It was accepted. We went back to the basement apartment. We got the calendar, marked off the days and the months, and finally the day arrived to move. So we get a big truck, get all of our worldly possessions, drive over to move into our first house. When we got there, it was a big shock to my mother. And the shock was this, to find out that the next door neighbors were English. Yeah, that was strike one against them. Strike two, not only were they from England, they were not Catholic. Strike two. Strike three. Now, I pray for these people. I'm sure they're dead now, like my parents. Tom and Winnie Cooper. They had a daughter, Nancy. And I know you can't make this stuff up. The house that we had bought was empty for 2 weeks. And while that house was empty, the Coopers went into the backyard and they moved the fence between their property and ours 3 feet in onto our property. So they stole 3 feet of land. Now where were all the flowers? Over in the Cooper's yard. My dear mother died in 1996. I did not see it, but I'm sure she had it. I'm convinced that my mother was a card-carrying member of the Irish Republican Army. Oh, there was no overt war against the Coopers as such, but this is what we did to get back at them. You ready for this? Very close, side by side. For 20 years, we didn't speak one word to them, not a word. I grew up, my sisters grew up, we were told, if you're out in the front or in the back and they're out there, see, they had no names. Those people don't exist for us, they're dead. Don't look at them, don't talk to them, don't go near them. 20 years, not a word, silence. What happened in my family? It's Sunday. Oh, we got to go to church. So I'd be lying in bed, bang, bang, bang on the door, hurry up, get dressed, we got to go to Mass. I'd get dressed, we'd hop in the car, drive up to the church, rush in the door, we'd sit in the pew, and then we'd listen to the priest up here talk wonderful sermons about what? Love, patience, forgiveness, acceptance, tolerance. And we'd even have the nerve to get out of the pew and come up here and receive communion. And then as soon as the Mass was over, oh yes, we'd gone to church. We received communion. And we went right back to that house and still didn't talk to the Coopers. Oh, we were very good practicing Roman Catholics. But how Christian were we? That's the point. How Christian were we? If you remember nothing else of what I'm going to say this evening, remember this. Christianity is not a religion. Roman Catholicism is a religion. The Episcopalians have a religion. The Baptists have a religion. Muslims, Jewish people, those are religions. Christianity is not a religion. What is it? It's a way of living. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. A way of living. How? According to these sayings of Jesus. And when? Not just for an hour in here on a Sunday, but where you live, where you work, where you play, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every day. Now, it's not easy. It's not easy. Now, after 20 years, the Coopers got the hint and they moved. So we won. We outlasted them. I must say, I always chuckle when I remember after years going back home, and I'd be there, and I'd listen to my father. He'd come down the stairs, and he'd say, "Did anybody see my tie?" He said, "I'm looking for me tie. I can't find me tie anywhere." And we'd all say, "You can't find your tie?" "No, it's over in Cooper's." See? Anything that we didn't have or can't find, they must have stolen that too. But it's not easy. It's not easy to live in this world of violence because, it's so overpowering at times. And there's an increase in bad attitude of people. I'm sure you've noticed this. People now, just more and more people just got bad attitude. You go to the grocery store, you go to Tops up the road here, and sometimes you're in there and you see people with their shopping carts piled to the heavens, and where are some of them going? The express lane. Do you say anything? Hey, you got more than 12 items. No, you stand back and just let it happen. See? It's just an increase in bad attitude. I'm almost embarrassed to tell you this, how difficult it is. Last Christmas, I was coming out of a place, a mall, I guess, and I was in my car, and I got to the light. It was a car in front of me, and I'm right behind him. So he's number one, I'm number two, and we're waiting for the little green arrow so we can make a left turn. So it's fine. My window is half down. Everything is fine with me in the world. Next thing you know, this guy comes up on my right. Now, he's in the wrong lane. He wants to turn left, but he's in the wrong lane. Now, had he asked me to let him in, I would have let him in. But he didn't ask. He just presumed to just butt in, cut me off. Well, I'm at an age in my life now where I have determined never to let an act of bad manners or rudeness go unnoticed. I got to say something. I just couldn't believe that this guy just did that. So I just sat in my car and I blew the horn. Beep, beep, idiot. Next thing, this big guy gets out of the car. Monster of a man. Just bigger than Father Brian. Huge guy, just big guy. He's red in the face. He's just so angry. He's cursing and swearing. He's spitting all over the place. And he goes right up to me. My window is half down, and he puts his face right in. And he screamed at me. Now, I can't tell you what he said. But he just said, blank you old man, blank you. Now, I'm not upset that he cursed at me. That didn't bother me one bit. But he called me an old man. That really ticked me right off. So I put my window down, I put my head out, and I said, well, blank you too, you big slob. And then the arrow turns green, he gets in his car, and he's driving off ahead of me with his finger, not this one, out the window. And where am I? Oh, I'm right behind him with my finger, not this one, out the window. And then you get home and you say, oh, dear God, Jesus, what was it you said? Oh, yes. If someone curses you, yes, you're tempted to curse them back. But I say to you, repay the curse with a blessing. Wow. If someone hurts you, yes, you're tempted to hurt them back. I say to you, turn the other cheek. That's not easy. If I've learned anything from that experience, if it ever happens again, if someone, says to me, blank you old man, I might just put my head out the window and say, bless you. You're still not getting in. But bless you anyway. Okay, I'm going to end this story. How many people here have been to the Holy Land? Let me put your hands there. Anybody have been to the Holy Land? Yeah. Now, I'm talking about Israel, not Ireland, okay? Is it Israel? Okay. And for those of you who have been to the Holy Land, Israel, and those who have not, you may have seen pictures. There's a wall. It's called the Wailing Wall, okay? It's the temple wall, and it's very sacred to the Jewish people. So I was over to Ireland there about 3 years ago, back home, and I heard this beautiful story, and I'll share it with you, okay? So I heard this story in a church. Actually, it was a pub. I thought I was in a church. I heard Jesus' name mentioned so often, it could have been it. I'll just put this here to save steps, okay? So this guy goes down to the Wailing Wall, and he says to the guide, he said, who's that little fella down there in white by the wall? He said, that's the Pope. He said, where are you from? He said, I'm from South Africa. He said, well, what's that Pope doing down there? He said, oh, he's praying for peace. Peace between peoples of different colors of skin and so on. Oh, he said, that's good. He said, who's he talking to down there by the wall? He said, he's talking to God. He said, that's good. The other guy says, who's that fellow in white by the wall? He said, that's the Pope. Where are you from? He said, I'm a Jew from Brooklyn. He said, what's that Pope doing down there? He said, praying for peace between people of different religions. Oh, another guy says, who's that little fellow in white? He said, that's the Pope. Where are you from? He said, I'm from Northern Ireland. What's that Pope doing down there? He said, oh, he's praying for peace between Catholics and Protestants. He said, well, who's he talking to down there? And the guy said, the wall. Yeah. 2,000 years have gone by. We're still talking and banging our heads against the wall. Nothing's changed, right? Nothing's changed. All right. Let's see. We'll pick another beatitude here. So that was the gentleness and meekness. We're coming up to Christmas. Let's talk about this one. Happy and blessed you will be if you are poor in spirit. Poor in spirit. Well, so as you know, we're living in a consumer-oriented society now today, and people are told you are what you have. You are what kind of clothes you wear, what kind of car you drive, what kind of house you live in, how much formal education you have. And it all gives us an image and an identity. Having these things, we're told, makes us happy, very happy. And of course, we're in this society too where, we're rushing around trying to buy all these wonderful things. Last Christmas, I was on the subway. Everybody was out Christmas shopping, and everybody was packed into the subway cars. And I was sitting there, and this young couple came in and sat seat in front of me. And they resumed a conversation I guess they were having on the platform waiting for the train. And of course, when you're on a public bus or a train, whatever, you don't talk to people. You just kind of keep your own business. Anyway, the young lady said to this guy, she said, "Look," she said, "we don't need half of this stuff here anyway." She said, "It's just junk." She said, I want to know one thing. When am I going to get the ring?" And he said to her, "Shut up." She said, No, I'm not going to shut up. When am I going to get the ring?" So right away, my ears picked up. So did everybody else's. He said, "February. I'll give you the ring in February. I promise. And she said, "Yeah, big deal. Promises. I often wonder whether she got the ring. It's easy to make promises and hard to keep, right? But we're living in a world where we're told that in order to have this, you got to buy this stuff in order to be happy. So what Jesus says on that little hillside, a little different. He said, you want to be really happy, you have to be poor in spirit. What does that mean? Does that mean, Jesus, I can't drive a 2021, Ram truck, brand new truck? He said, I'm not talking about your cars. Oh. Does that mean, Jesus, I can't have the biggest screen TV available? I'm not talking about your televisions. Oh. What does it mean? Poor in spirit. I get it. It means I have to be like a street person, homeless, walk around with holes in my clothes, starving all the time. No. And Jesus will say, let me ask you a question. The question he'll ask is, what are you running after most in this life? What do you want most? Is it possessions? Is it a thing? Is it power? Is it position? Is it authority? What is it? Money? Because where your heart is, there's your treasure. You got it already. Jesus says, if you're going to give your heart away, give your heart to another human being, or give your heart to God, but never give your heart away to a thing. Because no matter how valuable or precious that thing is, it could end up owning and possessing you. And that's so true. Think about this. The car that you drive now, the house that you live in, the money that you got in the bank, will one day belong to somebody else. It's not ours forever. I remember I said that last year. I said, it doesn't matter how much money you got, what kind of car you drive, where you live. I said, one day, everybody in this parish is going to die. There's a guy sitting in back pew. I said, what's so funny about that? He said, I'm not from this parish. I said, it's okay. Nice try. But this is what Jesus is saying. Poverty of spirit. Have you gone through your life saying, oh, I want that, I need that, I got that, now I got it all. I got everything. I don't need you, and God, I certainly don't need you. My heart is full. I'm satisfied. But again, we have to understand that no amount of this world's earthly goods will prevent any of us from getting sick or suffering or even dying. He said, set your hearts, seek ye first God's kingdom And all these things will be given to you as well. There's nothing wrong with a brand new car, a big screen TV, a nice house. But he says, remember, it's not yours forever. I was doing a mission one time, and this lady made an appointment to see me, and this is her story. I share it with you. She came in and she said, you know, Father, she said, I really don't like going to see doctors. And I said, I don't either. Because I always think there's someone worse off than I am. I'm not taking up the doctor's time. She said, yeah, she said, I went for my annual checkup, and the doctor sent me for some tests. And she said, I've never thought I'd hear back from the doctor, but I got a call to go back. And I went in, sat down, and after 5 minutes of small talk, the doctor said, now I have some bad news to tell you. He said, the results from your test show that you've got cancer. She said, no, I don't. He said, yes, you do. She said, no, I don't. I don't have cancer. He said, the tests show that you do. She said, that's not possible. I don't feel sick. I don't feel unwell. I cannot have cancer. He said, unfortunately, you do. She said, I sat there, and it was like someone took a 2x4 and just smacked me right across the head. Stunned. I have no memory of how I made it from the doctor's office back home. She said, my husband was at work, the kids were in school. I went into the kitchen, made myself a cup of coffee, sat down, processing this terrible news. I've got cancer. And she said, you know, I looked around the house. We're not rich, Father, but we're comfortable. My husband and I, we worked very hard to get what we have. We sacrificed, we saved, we did without. And she said, I have a little hobby. I collect spoons. I've done that for many years. My friends know that. When they go on a holiday, they'll buy a spoon, bring it back. And she said, as a result, the walls of my house are covered with plaques of spoons. And she said, there I was sitting on the couch, drinking my coffee, just being told that I've got cancer. And you know what I was thinking? She said, those bloody spoons, the money that I've spent, the time that I've wasted, what's going to happen to my spoons when I die? Oh, she said, maybe a spoon will be given to some of my friends and my family, and the years will go by and the spoons will be lost. That's what Jesus is saying. Set your hearts into those things that will truly last, not rust away, not rot away, not be lost, but the things that are precious and valuable to you. So it's so difficult for us in this society to kind of grasp that, to know that we should enjoy the world's goods, yes, but at the same time have this spirit of poverty, realizing that, you know, I have them just for a while, and they don't consume me. They don't overpower me. I have room left in my heart. All of my nieces at Christmas time, I look at the young kids today. I've a couple of nieces at Christmas time. I go up and I bring their Christmas presents, and I bring them up in a dollar store bag. I didn't buy the gifts at the dollar store, but these girls, they'll shop but never be caught dead in a dollar store. They're brand names, that's it. All they want is the brand names. Why would you pay $3 for a tube of toothpaste when you can get the same toothpaste at the dollar store for $1? Doesn't make any sense. But this is the conditioning that we have in our world today. You got to have this, the best of this, and that's going to make you happy. And if you don't have that, you're not going to be happy. Well, that's not true. And Jesus says you can have those things, but have that spirit of poverty that you won't and can't and ever have it all. All right. I think I have time for one more. Let's make it a good one. Okay, here it is. This one really doesn't get a lot of attention, so I think I'll talk about it tonight. It should. The world we live in, of course, well, here's the thing. I went to bed one night, and I woke up the next morning, thank God, and I realized something. All the old people in the world disappeared. All the old people have gone. We have no more old people in the world. Did you know that? I have no idea where they went. So all the old people have just somehow overnight disappeared. What we have now is a world filled with seniors. No old people, seniors. That's what we have now. And we no longer put old people in old folks' homes. Oh, no, we don't do that. We put them in places, and we call them assisted living centers. And we give these places wonderful sounding names like cemeteries. Where is she living now? Shady Acres. Yeah. The world that we live in now today emphasizes and values youth. Oh, think young, look young, feel young. Because our world says aging is a disease to be avoided at all costs. Think young, look young, feel young. Don't get old. Don't age because, look at the alternatives. And don't even use the word die. Don't use that word. It's too final. Use other words. So this is how people talk today. Yeah, so-and-so passed on. Or she passed away. We passed gas. They're expired. They're deceased. They've gone over. Or they've kicked the bucket. But we use every expression except to say, that person died. Because our world says, no, don't say that. You got to think young, look young, feel young, because if you really get old, you're going to maybe pass. You don't want to do that. And the world is so, it's so strong in its propaganda via the commercials. To think young and look young, feel young. All the commercials are geared not to our age. They're geared to young age. Young people don't want to be young. They want to be older. And us older people, a lot of us want to go back in time. But we can't. But yet you turn on the TV and you see all these ads. It's just, I just have to chuckle because it just doesn't make any sense. All of you ladies, you're making the cosmetic industry very rich. You know that, right? Billion-dollar industry, cosmetics. Because you're told by the cosmetic industry, all you ladies, if you get up one day and you see a brand new wrinkle, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to rush out and buy this expensive tube of what they call now anti-aging cream. Cream that will prevent you from aging. Now, I'm looking at some of you here tonight, and I can tell you it's not working. Sorry. It just covers things up. There's no cream that will prevent us from aging, none whatsoever. Like an 85-year-old woman in a leather miniskirt does nothing for me. That ship has sailed a long time ago. Or a 70-year-old man in a Speedo. No, I don't think so. I like you. I'll tell you this story. A couple were in Walmart, I guess it was, and they were on a strict budget. Only so much money to spend per month. So anyway, the guy's walking around, and he's got the shopping cart, and he comes to the aisle, and he picks out a case of beer, puts it in the cart. And his wife says, hey, put that back. We can't afford that. How much is that? He says, $25. We can't afford that beer. Put the beer back. So he said, okay, put the beer back. He's walking around the store with an empty cart. He comes up around the corner to the cosmetic counter. And there's his wife at the cosmetic counter holding up a jar. He said, what's that? She said, face cream. He said, How much is that? She said, $60. He said, we're on a budget. She said, I know, but I need it. I need it. And he said, well, why do you need it? She said, it makes me look beautiful. He said, a case of beer does the same thing. I know. I apologize for that one. But though, isn't it true? So, our world says, no, think young, look young, feel young. But on that little hillside, Jesus said, you really want to be happy? And this really doesn't make any sense when you hear it first, but it does. Happiness will come to you only, he says, if you're able to mourn. How in the name of God is mourning going to make me happy? Well, what Jesus is saying is, as you go through your life, you will experience many different types of losses. You have to acknowledge them. Your society says, no, they're not lost. No, cover it up, deny it. No, it's real. Jesus said, shed the tears, cry, scream if you have to. Those losses are painful. What do we have to mourn for? Well, I alluded to it earlier. The loss of our youth. Even though the world says, hey, you're going to be young forever. No. Maybe now when we look at our lives, maybe the eyesight isn't as good as it once was. That's a loss. Maybe the hearing isn't as good. Another loss. Maybe the memory is just terrible. Can't remember anything. Big loss. Maybe for some people they need a cane or a walker to get around, okay? That's another loss. We've lost the ability to do those things that we could do without even thinking, running up and down stairs without getting winded, right? Can't do that anymore. Those are losses when we look back and say, I can't do that anymore. I mourn the loss of that ability. I used to play a lot of hockey. I played 3 nights a week when I was a pastor. In my mind, if I put on a pair of skates and got the hockey stick and went out on the rink, I could do what I once did 40 years ago. In my mind. My body would say, you're going to die. You see, the mind is forever young. The body just ages, right? So Jesus said, no, you mourn the losses. Don't regret them. They're gone. What else do we have to mourn for? Dreams. All of us here, I'm sure we had dreams. I want to do this. I want to do that. Some of our dreams we realized, accomplished, but there are other dreams that will never see the light of day. He said, cry for that. The things that will never happen. The things that you dreamt about for years will never take place. Shed the tears, mourn, and let it go. You can't live where you have been. Relationships, we enter into friendships and even marriages, right? And hopefully, marriages and relationships last, but unfortunately they don't. For whatever reason, it's always painful when a marriage breaks down. He said, and friendships just disappear. What happened? Was it something we said or did? Those people don't come near us anymore. They don't give us the time of day. That's a real loss. You shed the tears for that. One of the commandments broken a lot today, number 4, honor your mother and father. I hear this from parents and grandparents. We've tried to pass on. We've given up a lot of things so our kids will have what we never had. And we try to pass on our faith, our values, our morals, our beliefs. But our kids, some of them, they don't darken the door of a church. Some of our grandchildren are not even baptized. And our children don't visit, they don't call, they don't write unless they want something. Then they're here. Maybe we mourn for the loss of love and respect that we deserve to get from our children, but don't receive. And maybe the last item that we have to mourn for, and it's one that strikes fear and terror into our hearts, is the fear of our own death, physical death, or the death of those we love. Over the years, I can't tell you how many people have said to me, Father, what happens when somebody dies? And my honest answer is, how would I know? I don't know. I don't know. I can share with you what I believe, but I don't know for sure. But we all have a faith in what happens. Here's how I understand it. It doesn't answer all of my questions. It's an analogy. I was in my mother's womb. And when I was in that womb, I was happy, well-fed. I was just there sucking on my thumb, happy, happy, happy. I wanted to stay there forever. Did I know anything about this world? Blue sky, green grass, flowers, laughter, warmth, sunshine? Didn't exist. There I was in that dark womb, but I was very happy, warm, protected, safe. I wanted to stay there forever. But at a certain time that I didn't know, I was physically, and I can assure you, violently thrown out of that womb into this world. That was a shock. Birth is traumatic. And I can share this with you. I was so shocked when I was born, I did not speak for about a year and a half. Yeah. Wow, look at this. Isn't this wonderful? So this is a womb now. Here we are in this big womb. We want to stay here forever. We have people that love us. We love people. We love everything about life. We want to stay here. And yet, at a certain point in time, unknown to us all, we will be thrown out of this womb into what? We're told, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, for what is in store for you who believe that Jesus was raised not back to this life, but to a new life by his God, by his Father. And if you believe that, we're told, the same will happen to us. It's faith. We have no proof. It's like stepping off a roof, the house that's burning, into the darkness, and someone says, I'll catch you, jump. The roof is real. You got to take a chance and say, I believe that you're going to catch me. That's faith. It's a leap, right? So we say, yeah. In life, there's things that you can't get back. Once you speak a word, it's gone. And if you throw a stone, it's gone. If you miss an occasion, a birthday, an anniversary, it's gone. It's not coming back again. And when someone dies, they're gone. They're not coming back in this physical form. And that's the hardest thing for all of us to really grapple with, that they're physically gone. And yet, in our hearts, when someone that we love dies, that we're very close to us, a husband, a son, a daughter, whatever, there's a hole in our heart that will never be filled. That's why we call it a heartache. There's nothing or no one can ever fill that hole that was left by someone who is gone. So we carry that ache with us for the rest of our earthly lives as well, until it's our turn. So the thing is, I share these thoughts with you, and even about, death and dying. Now, not to make us feel afraid, because we are going to die, but enjoy this day. And see, maybe now is the time to do the things that we've been putting off, to maybe make that little phone call that we said, yeah, I should do that. Or to write that little note that we said, yeah, I should write that note. Or to go to someone and tell them that you love them, or ask for their forgiveness. It's time to do those things now. Don't wait, because you may never get the chance. Never get the chance. We always put things off. We save things. We think we have an unlimited amount of time. Well, we don't. We don't know. So I'm going to ask you to get a chance to read Matthew. Open up your Bibles. Read Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5. Everything that Matthew said, that Jesus said about the reign of God, the kingdom of God, is in this chapter. Okay? These words cannot remain in a book. It's just a book. These words have to come off the page and get into your heart. We have to start living them. Be Christian. Not just be members of a religion, but to actually follow Jesus in his way of living. That's the first name that we were given by the pagans. Look at those people. They follow this Jesus that they say has been raised from the dead. We're going to call them people of the way. They don't dress any different. They don't eat different food. But see how they look after one another. The widow, the orphan. We'll call them Christian. That's how we got the name. But originally, it was people of the way. We're going to have our exposition and benediction. And as you know, I usually end off my presentations with a song, and I'm going to do one tonight. And then after the exposition and benediction, we're going to be beginning the 24 period of reconciliation. So I thought this particular song that I'm going to sing would be appropriate to kind of lead us into that celebration of the sacrament. And the other thing now, before I do that, again, there's a table at the back that has CDs on it. There were 4 priests originally, myself and 3 others, back in the 70s. We got together and we liked to do music. And of the original group of 4, I'm the only one left. All the other 3 have died. But we've added to the group over the years. We have 5 CDs. The latest CD is on the table there. I live in a house with 12 or 13 other priests. Half of them are retired. We like to keep our older men with us as long as we can. And so over the years, the proceeds from the sale of the CDs has gone to help look after and care for our older men. We lost our oldest member there maybe a couple of months ago, Father Tom O'Brien. He was 103. Nothing wrong with his mind. His body was just crippled, but we kept Father Tom with us for a long time. So that's it. And if you have those proverbial little envelopes, there's a basket at the back, or you can wait and bring the envelopes back on Wednesday night, okay? The last night, tomorrow night of the mission. So here's the little song to conclude my part of the mission. Many years ago, I was making my own retreat, and I was reading in the scripture, the Bible, the story of the prodigal son. And as I was reading it, I walked around the chapel, and I thought, well, how would that sound if I was in that story? How would I react? And I had this little tune in my head, and there happened to be a guitar there, so I picked it up, and I wrote this song, and I've written many pieces of music over the years, but this one, I think, has been directly inspired by God. So just close your eyes and allow these words to penetrate into your hearts. Father, I have sinned. Help me find my way. Remember not my sins. Just let me hear you say, I forgive you and I love you. You are mine. Take my hand. Go in peace. Sin no more, beloved one. Father, I have turned my back and walked away, depended on my strength, and I've lived life my own way. But I forgive you, and I love you. You are mine. Take my hand and go in peace. Sin no more, beloved one. Father, I have loved, if love's the word to use. I've played so many games, they've left me so confused. But I forgive you, and I love you. You are mine. Take my hand, go in peace, sin no more, beloved one. Father, I've returned, I'm home with you to stay. I'm standing by your door, just knowing that you'll say, I forgive you, and I love you. You are mine. Take my hand and go in peace. Sin no more, beloved one.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening and listening to Father Gene. And we're about to start our Day of Mercy and move into this time of prayer, and also to know that, of course, reconciliation will be available for the next 24 hours. There will be a priest on hand. But starting this evening, because there's so many of us together, just wanted to point out that Father Brian will be in the corner over here. I'll be in timeout in this corner over here. Father Ryan will be by the piano, and Father Gene will be in the confessional. Give us a few minutes to light the candles, our closing song, and we'll begin adoration, okay?